There we go. Okay, Be'ezus Hashem. Today's daf is Daf Kuf Yud Beis, and we're going to start from Kuf Yud Aleph Amud Beis by the Mishnah. Okay, so the Mishnah Yavam. Okay, you got it.
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Yavam. Let me make it a drop bigger. Okay, here we go. Yavam. If Yavam. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. We'll just wait a half a second here. Somebody's coming on.
Yeah, I sent him the link.
Okay, hi.
Hello.
Okay, I forgot to send the link, right? Hi, Louis.
Hi.
Yeah, what an article. What a touching article.
You like that, huh? My daughter's a good writer.
A phenomenal writer.
Yeah.
Excellent.
It's a true story.
Yeah. Wonderful. A lot of messages in that. Okay, I hope hope other people will get the chance to read it.
Which article?
I'll send it to you. It's his daughter wrote an article
For H.com about raising families. And she's a teacher at Howe. And it's a cute article that kind of gives insight into, I think, understanding kids and how adults maybe have to understand kids. And it's an article. It's not for everyone. It's a
it's messy
approach.
Yeah. What you think is messy is really giving them giving them a self-esteem, basically.
Maybe in a way, but I literally see the writing on the walls in my daughter's house.
Very cute.
Yes.
We're on Daf Kuf Yud Aleph from the base by the Mishnah. Okay, here we go.
Don't forget to send me the article about
it. I will. After the learning. Okay, and I want to point out again, today is the last day I'm learning for a week because I'm going away for a week to London, and the time zone is different. Be'ezus Hashem, I'll be back on Wednesday. I hope you'll rejoin again, and we'll make the Siyum on Masechta Yevamos, and then onward and upward with Ksubis. I don't see any interruption going forward, but this is the first time away from the normal time zone.
Yeah, but if you change your mind and you feel that you have a little time, it's only 5-hour difference, and Zoom is international. So let me know.
Okay. All right.
Where are you?
Okay, I'm next. So after tonight, I'm taking a break for a week, because I'm going away for a simcha to London, and then I'm staying over Shabbos. I'm coming back. I'll be back. I'll resume again on Wednesday, Be'ezus Hashem.
Oh my.
All right. Okay, so bear with me. I'm sorry. Okay, here we go. The Mishnah begins on Kuf Yud Aleph from the base. Yavam Katan Shaba Al Yavama Katana. Imagine this: you have a Yavam Katan. He's a bar mitzvah boy, and his sister-in-law, who's a Katana, and let's assume she was even married midaraisa. Okay, that his sister-in-law was married to his brother, and she was a Katana under bas mitzvah, and now she's falling to Yibam to this 10-year-old, right? So there's a 10-year-old and a 10-year-old girl in a Yavam situation. So he can Shabbat, and if he had intercourse with her, Yigdalu Zeh Im Zeh. Mishnah says they should grow up with each other, because at this point, the Katan cannot give a get to this Yavama. And the reason is because a Katan cannot give a get, but he can consummate a Yibam. That's very interesting. With the Raisa, he can make a Yibam because you don't really need so much intention to do the Biyah. So he could do have relations. So now they're married. It's the only time in marriage when you can't get rid of the wife. You have to wait until you're capable of giving a get if he wants to. Let's say the Yavam Katan came and had relations with the Yavam Magdala. Again, Tikhadilenu. If he wants to get rid of her, he can't do chalitza anymore because he did yib biyah. So he would have to wait till he gets older, over bar mitzvah, and then he can, if he wants to give a get. Now, this is the end of the first part of the Mishnah. Now, here comes an interesting case. We know that once you do biyah, the biyah really makes, that's it. They're married. They don't need chalitza anymore. what happens? We see them living together, the Yavam and the Yavama. But Hayavama she'amr b'soich shloshim yom. She says, and within the 30 days, 20 days after they moved in with each other, the Yavam and the Yavama, she says, Lo nivalti. I never had intercourse with him. I never had consummated the Yibam. And therefore, there is no Yibam here. So what do? So Mishnah says, Koifin oisoi sheyachletzah. We force him. This means we really belt the Yavam to give chalitza. Now, we could also belt him to do Yibam over here. The Gemara is going to discuss that. Why not? But you see what the problem is. You don't always assume that they had relations. If she says, I did not have relations, then we can force him to do chalitza. But here's very important. After 30 days, if she says, oh, we lived together for 30 days, but we never slept with each other. So then we don't believe her. We don't believe her because it's after 30 days, it's impossible you didn't sleep with each other. So then we don't force him to do the chalitza. We ask him nicely. We ask him nicely to give chalitza. But we don't get on his case. If he agreed that we didn't have relations we didn't sleep with each other for 30 days, even if he says later on, let's say 3 months later, we slept with each other. It wasn't the first 30 days, but I agree with her the first 30 days we did not sleep with each other, then we force him to give chalitza to her. That's what the Mishnah says. We would force him to give chalitza to her. Now the new case of the Mishnah. And then the Hanoideres, new case. This is the topic number 3. So 3 topics in this Mishnah. Hanoideres hanoah meyavama b'chayabala. A woman says that in the life of her husband, she says, I never want to have, while her husband is, I hate your brother, and I swear that I'm asur b'hanoah to him. So then if she fell to Yibim, koifin oisa sheyachalitz law, we force her to give chalitza to her. La'acha misas bala, but let's say her husband died, and before she fell to Yibam, she's falling to Yibam now. She says, I asur b'han myself hanoah on my yavam. The husband died, so she's supposed to fall to Yibam. Then we don't force him to do chalitza. We ask him to do chalitza, but we don't force her because the Yibam chiyuv is around. Her husband died. She's supposed to fall to Yibam. In a fit of rage, she says, I'm asur b'hanoah to this yavam. So then, since she's at fault over here, we ask him to do chalitza to her. Let's say the husband was alive, but she specifically said, I never want to have relations with your brother. And so we see clearly she's like making the neder specifically not to fall to Yibim. Also, we ask him to do chalitza with her. So we're going to discuss all these cases in the Gemara. Okay, so the first topic we said that it's possible for a 10-year-old Yavam to do Yibam with a 10-year-old girl, right? That's what our Mishnah says. So the Gemara says, let us say our Mishnah does not agree with Rabbi Meir. The Tanya we learned in the Braisa, this is a very famous Rabbi Meir. And Rabbi Meir always says that we always give credence to the minute possibility. And the minute possibility is katan ukatana. When you're dealing with a katan ukatana, anyone under bar mitzvah or under bas mitzvah, loy choltzav loy misyab min divrei Meir. They can't do chalitza or yibam. And you can see why. Because there is a possibility that these kids are going to grow up and they'll discover that they're not capable of having children. Even though percentage-wise, it's a very low percentage. But Rav Meir is always concerned about the little miut. And therefore, if we allow them to sleep with each other, it might turn out that they weren't capable to do yibum when they get older. And therefore, he was doing a isser of Eishes Ach with he was doing it isser of sleeping with his Eishes Ach because Shaloi b'makam mitzvah, there is no mitzvah of yibum. Therefore, our Mishnah, the Gemara starts off the discussion, says our Mishnah is not like Rav Meir. So the Gemara says, Afilu Tema Rav Meir. You could even say our Mishnah goes according to Rav Meir. And our Mishnah allows a katan to do yibum. Ki Amar Rav Meir, when the Rav Meir says a katan should not do yibum, when you're dealing gedoyle lekatan, when you're dealing, the guy is under bar mitzvah and the girl is over bas mitzvah. Ukatana legodo, or the opposite. She's under bas mitzvah, and he's older than bar mitzvah. He's a gadol. The chad minai bid yisurihi. One of them is already a bar onshim, somebody who's responsible for the mitzvahs, and therefore there's a possibility he's doing a forbidden intercourse. Because it might turn out that the girl is not capable of having children, or the guy is not capable of having children. But if we're dealing with two small children, the tervayo ki hadodininu, they're both in the same level. Loy Omar, then Rav Meir would not have a problem with them doing bia with each other. Says the Gemara, that's true. But v'hakatani, our Mishnah does continue on and says bo al yavama gedola, that if the katan has relations with the Yavama Gedola, that they should, they could stay married with each other. And if he wants to divorce her, he'll have to wait till he's over bar mitzvah. So we see that our Mishnah is dealing also with the case of a katan that has relations with a Gedola. That part of the Mishnah is ex post facto. That means it happened already. Not that we're supposed to do that. Rav Meir would never agree. If our Mishnah goes according to Rav Meir would never agree to such a scenario. But if it happened already, okay. So the Gemara says that can't be. We say that they could stay with each other and just wait till they get older. And according to Rav Meir, every time they sleep with each other, there's a possibility of a prohibition over here. So our Mishnah cannot be like Rav Meir, because our Mishnah clearly says that even if it's a katan with a gedola, they can stay with each other, they can sleep with each other, and we're not concerned that maybe that that he's going to grow up and to be not capable of having children. We're not concerned that this is going to turn into a bia de iser. And according to Rav Meir, should be concerned of something like that. Our Mishnah is not like Rav Meir. And therefore, if our Mishnah is not like Rameh, that's why, like we said before, that we're not chayish, we're not concerned about that minute possibility. Now the Gemara asks another question, and that's an important question here. How could you say that a katan could have to do yibam with a katana? And it's good, once they do yibam, the Daraisa, no need of chalitza. How could you say such a thing? Kri Kam, the pasuk says that the only time yibam works if you're dealing with somebody capable of lahach shame, somebody who can have children. V'hai la bar hochayu. But this katan, he's not capable of having children. So how can he consummate a yibam? And that's once he does it, there's no chalitza anymore. But he's not somebody who can actually establish a child from this union. Amar Abaya says there's a pasuk that is marba that includes that the parsha could even be talking about a katan, because the pasuk says yavama yavoy aleha, that the yavam, her yavam, should have relations with her. Any koldahu, no matter who he is, even if he's a katan, he could consummate a yibam over here. So that's a bias source. Rava Amma, you don't even need that source. You can never say that a katan cannot do yibam. It's impossible. So what are you going to say? A yavam who's a katan should not do anything and wait till he's older? That means right now he cannot do yibam. It's also to do yibam. And then when he gets over bar mitzvah, he could do yibam. That's impossibility. We have a rule, we have a steadfast rule regarding yivamas. When she has the opportunity, Yavama, that you're supposed to do Yibam with her, and for some reason you can't do Yibam with her because she's an Erva, even though later the Erva falls away, she always remains your brother's wife that has children. In other words, there's no mitzvah of Yibam, Basura. So if at one period of time you can't do Yibam, it's forever Asar. So therefore, a katan, so when the katan is if you're telling me that a katan cannot do Yibam when he's under bar mitzvah, then he certainly won't be able to do it when he's over bar mitzvah. So that's the Gemara's next question. Let us say exactly what you're saying. Let's say a yavam katan should be exempt from the whole mitzvah of Yibam. And therefore, if his brother dies, we don't wait till he gets older, nothing. No yibam, no chalitza. But there's another pasuk that says, Ki yeshu achin yachad, if two brothers are around at the same time. Afilu ben yom yachad, even if he's just a brother that's 1 day old, and his older brother, his 20-year-old brother died, he's obligated in the mitzvah of Yibam. So the mitzvah of Yibam does apply when he's a katan. And therefore, you cannot say that he's asr when he's a katan, because then he would remain forever asr. But the Torah seems to imply that there's a mitzvah of Yibam for him. Therefore, from the Torah, from that source, Rava knows that a katan could consummate a Yibam. Okay, two sources, Abaya and Rava. Next, new Gemara, which was a new topic in the Mishnah. They did Yibam, okay? The two, Yavam and Yavava did Yibam. And then the Gemara says, it's fascinating Gemara. The Gemara says that if the Yavama says, let's say they slept with each other, they moved into the same apartment, and the Yavam with the Yavama, and the Yavama wakes up 20 days later, after they moved in, I never had relations with him. I never slept with him. So then we believe her, and we force him to do Yibam. We force him to do Chalitza. We force him to do something. So Yavama she'amar b'sach shloshim yom. Because basically by her saying that he never did anything, that means I still have a bond with the Yavam. And therefore a get wouldn't suffice. I would need a Chalitza too. So now there must be an opinion over here that they moved in with each other. And is it possible, the Gemara is discussing, is it possible to move in with a girl and not sleep with her for 30 days? Can you hold yourself out? Mantana, who is the author of our Mishnah, the ad kloisiyim, until 30 days, moikim in anafshe. A person can hold himself back, and not to sleep with the woman. Even if you moved in with each other, you have 30 days. Amr Yochanan Rameyahi. So this is Rameyahi. The Tanya we learned in the Brisa. Tanas Pisulim Kol Shloishim Yoim Divrei Rameir. Rameir says that a man and a woman who get married, so then they have the first 30 days, we allow him to say, I never found the Basulim, the virgin blood, right? Dam Basulim with her. And therefore, she ripped me off and I don't have to give the full ksuba that you give for a Basula. Now, he has a whole 30 days. Now, why do you give him 30 days? Why don't you say that if he didn't come the first 2 days, we can assume that no, he's making the whole story up because he got angry at her, and now he's coming that there's no basulim over here. He's making the whole thing up. Why did he show up at day number 20 to come up with this, that he didn't find basulim? Why do we give him a 30-day grace period? So the answer is because Rameir holds it's possible that you got married, and then the first 30 days you didn't sleep with each other. Whatever, you're going to Sheva Brachas or anything like that. So we give him a 30-day grace period. So Divrei Rameir. So we see Rameir holds that a person could hold out sleeping with a woman and not have intercourse with her for 30 days. Divrei Rameir. And that would be the author of our Mishnah. Rabbi Yossi Aymat Nistra L'Alter. We see that they slept with each other. He only has right away to come back with Basulim questions. Loi Nistra, but if they didn't sleep with each other, if they didn't move into the same apartment, then you could come with Tainis Basulim even after many years. So we clearly see that Rameir, who gives the grace period of 30 days, could be the author of our Mishnah. So Rabba says, Afilatain Rabbi Yossi. You could say our Mishnah goes according to Rabbi Yossi. And Rabbi Yossi says, if you move in with a woman, a strange woman, if you woman with a woman that you're getting married, you don't give her that grace period of 30 days. So the Gemara says, Ad kan lekam Rabbi Yossi hasam. Rabbi Yossi didn't say that you don't give any grace period of 30 days. Ela ba'arusasai, the gispa. It's his fiancée. It's the one that he was dating. He's so familiar with her. He's proud of her, and he's certainly going to do it right away. Aval Eishes Achiv, but his brother's wife, we go to Kufya Beis and Aleph, Mizvah's Biziz Mina. He seemed somewhat hesitant and embarrassed from her. So we don't assume that he slept with her, and we give the 30-day grace period. So therefore, if she says for the first 30 days that he didn't sleep with me, we force him to give a chalitza. So that leads us to the next question. Why do you force him to give chalitza? She says he never slept with me. Okay, so fine. He'll say, I want to do the mitzvah yibam. So what's the problem? Why does the Mishnah say you force him to give chalitza, you belt his head and give chalitza? Amar Rav, so Rav explains, we're talking about a case, our Mishnah, that he actually gave a get. And he doesn't want to go through the chalitza process. He says, I slept with her. Here's her get. Go, and now she can get married to anybody who she wants. She says, he never slept with me, so the get is not enough. And therefore, she's basically saying, I'm still an usher woman until I get a chalitza. So if it's during the first 30 days, we believe her that he never slept with her, and we force him to give a chalitza in addition to the get he gave. So therefore, he cannot do a yibum because he already gave a get. So we force the chalitza. So the Gemara says, you're saying our Mishnah that he actually gave a chalitza get. Meisvei, I'll ask you a question. In a brisa, which is more expensive than the Mishnah, the brisa says, Yevama she'amar b'sach shlosh yom lo nivalti. So Yevama says, I never had slept with him. We never consummated the yibum during the first 30 days. So she is believed. Whether he agrees with her or not, we believe her that it was loy nivalti. So we force him to give chalitza. Fine. If it's after 30 days, then we believe him that he actually slept with her and the get and therefore we ask him, do you want to give chalitza? But let's say it's after 30 days, and she says, Nivalti, I did have relations with him. And he says, I didn't have relations with her. He's saying, I never had relations, so you're still required to have a chalitza. But if it's after 30 days, then hareza yaitzibiget. We don't even believe him at all. How could you have been with a woman for over 30 days? You didn't sleep with her. We don't believe you. And then a get would suffice in this case. Now the Brisa says, and this is where we're getting to the question. Who ama ba'alti v'hi oimeres loinim ba'alti? It's after 30 days. He says, I did relations with her. And she says, you didn't. So technically, we would believe him. Even if he says, I didn't relations, he changes his mind. And he says, I didn't have relations with her. So now both she and he are saying that they didn't do bia. So if that's the case, both of them agree that they didn't do bia. Tzarech get the chalitza. You need a get and a chalitza over here. Get because you originally said that you did bia, and chalitza because you changed your mind and said, loy ba'alti, I didn't do bia. But here you need a get and chalitza. It's mashma in the first case. You didn't give that. We're talking about all these cases, which is precisely our Mishnah. It doesn't seem to imply that the beginning, which is very similar to our Mishnah, is talking about a case where you actually gave a get. It just says we force him to do chalitza. How could Rav say that our Mishnah is talking about you actually gave a get when it's only in a specific later case that the Brisa, which explains the Mishnah, says you need a get and a chalitza? Rab Ami said we misread the Brisa. The Brisa doesn't say now you give a new get. The Brisa says slicha chalitza im get. You need a chalitza with the get that you already gave. So Brisa is talking about you already gave a get, and that's the way Rav learned our Mishnah. That's why we force the guy to give chalitza. Rav Ashi says hasam get lizikasei hacha get lebiyasei. Over there, he gave a get for his zika, for his bonding, and therefore there's two types of get. When the Brisa says you need to give a new get, it means you have to give a get for the marriage. You see, you could say that the reason why you force him to give chalitza is not that he gave a get, he slept with her. It's because he gave a get for the bonding, and therefore you force him to give a chalitza. But at the end of the Brisa, since he said, I already had relations with her, so even if he gave a get for the zika, he would still need a new get because he actually slept with her, and they're considered married. Okay. Hani Shneim, the Gemara says, Hani Shneim Moidim, the Oslo Kame de Rava. There were two people, two husband, a Yavam and a Yavam. Okay. They both agreed that they did not have bia, right? Now, in the beginning, they said, "Oh, we had slept with each other," and then they said, "Oh, we didn't sleep with each other." So therefore, our Brisa said you need a get and a chalitza because you can't change your mind because probably you did sleep with each other. So almost the kame de Rava, Amalei Rava chalitza ushar le tigr. Do chalitza. They're both saying they didn't have bia, and therefore, if they're both saying they didn't have bia, so then all you need to do is chalitza. There was no marriage here. Amalei Rav Shrevi Rava. Rav Shrevi pointed out to Rava, but Tanya, the Brisa clearly says in this particular case, we don't trust these people. They actually slept with each other, and therefore they were married. Tzuricha get b'chalitza. You need a get and chalitza. So we see that Rava wasn't aware of this brisa. Amalei, he said, "Thank you." Itanya, Tanya, you're right. If you have a brisa, then I bend my opinion to the brisa that you should get a get and a chalitza. Last question. Boya minain hoin. Hoin is the name of a person. He asked a question. Rav Nachman. So Rav Nachman had a son named Hoin, and he asked the question to his father, Rav Nachman. Tzarasa maho, a yavama that moved in with the yavam. Okay, the yavama moved in with the yavam, and therefore the tzara, the co-wife, went ahead and now is free. Now the yavama comes later on. It says a month later. It says, "Oh, by the way, I never slept with the yavam." Does the co-wife become asar now because now the yavama says there was no yibam over here because I never really had beer with him? Amalei. So Rav Nachman says, just because this is a problem between the Yavam and the Yavama, whether we force him to give chalitza or we ask him to give chalitza, the tzara should become asa. In other words, it's her problem because she's probably saying to the Yavama saying, I'm asar. But we can assume from an outside point of view that when a Yavam and Yavama move into the same apartment, this bia going to take place, and it's consummated the yibam over here, and therefore we're never going to prohibit the tzara anymore. This is nothing. The tzara is always right away permitted. If a problem develops, it's only a personal problem of the yavama saying, "I never had it. I'm still a yavama." New part of the Gemara. Hanederes hanoah. A woman promised she's not going to have anything to do with her, brother-in-law. That's what she said. Tanan Hasan, we learned in the Mishnah. The Gemara starts off with a question, brings another topic in, then asks a question and brings a proof from our Mishnah. Let's see this in off-topic case. In the beginning, they used to say, 3 women can walk out of a marriage and take their whole ksuba. How could a woman walk out of a marriage, demand a get from her husband, and take her ksuba? She has for example, case number 1. She tells her husband, I was raped. And therefore, if her husband's a kohen, it's not her fault she was raped. She can leave the marriage and take her ksuba. And we don't be concerned that maybe she's making the whole thing up. And therefore, she just wants to move in with somebody else. No, we trust her and we give her the ksuba. Or she says, Hashemayim beini levencha. This is another problem. He says, basically, you have erectile dysfunction. We can't have relations with each other. So we believe her, and she leaves and takes her ksuba. Or she says, Netula ani min haYehudim. She says, I hate marriage. Okay? And I'll prove it to you that I hate marriage. I want to be asur on any Jew. Okay, this is this point. I want to be asur on any Jew. I just hate marriage. Some women, they get into it. They don't like the idea of marriage. So then we allow her, okay, if you hate marriage, you can leave and take a ksuba. That was the original plan. Then the Chachamim changed their mind. We maybe be concerned that maybe she had her eye out for somebody else, and therefore she's destroying her marriage. Ella. What's the case? If she says she was raped, she has to prove it. If she says her husband cannot have intercourse, so Yasu Derech Bakasha, Yasu Derech Bakasha means she should try to ask her husband to go to a doctor to figure things out. And we don't allow her to leave. The Tula Nimin Ayudim, she says, I never want to have relations with any Jew. I don't want to marry anybody. So then, Yafa Chelka, he should nullify the part of the neder that affects him, and let her always remain asur to everybody else. But she could nullify her neder, her oath, when it comes to him. And if he ever died, she should then become asur on every Jew. But that's it. We don't trust her. Now comes the Gemara asking a question. If a woman says netula ani min haYehudim, if a woman stam makes a neder, right? She says, I hate all men. And therefore, I'm asur to any man. I don't want to have any intercourse with any man. Let's say her husband dies. Did the neder include the yavam? The question is, when a person makes a neder, does she ever think that her husband's going to die and she's going to fall to yavam? Me mastik adaite the nice bal of enough lakama yavam. Aloi, does she ever think she's going to ever marry her brother-in-law or not? So Rav says, no, yavam ain't a kabal. Yavam is a far-fetched thing. It's not like the husband. She's also to the husband and any other men until she gets a hafara from her husband. But if she ends up her husband dying, the neder was never on the yavam because that's so far-fetched from her mind. She never thought that she would ever fall to yavam, that her husband died. Shmuel says, yavam harehu kabal. Yavam is like the baal. Yavam is like the baal, and therefore the neder went on the yavam. So if the husband died, she's now also on the husband, on the yavam also. Amar Abaya says, it seems more logical like Rav. That now we learned in the Mishnah, our Mishnah. A woman says, I don't want to have any relations with my brother-in-law while her husband was alive. Then we force him to do the chalitza, because basically if she specifically singled out her brother-in-law while her husband was alive, then she's making this neder to, get out of the mitzvah of Yibam. So we force him, we force him to do the chalitza. Because she's not trying to get out of the Yibam, but her husband is alive. But if so happens that the Yibam, the neder included the Yavam itself, then we'd force him to chalitza, because she probably didn't mean only the Yavama. She meant other people as well. She hates marriage. And the Mishnah says, then we don't blame her. We force him to give chalitza. Then Isa, the maska adaita, if we think that she had a havamina to include the yavam, right? So then, if the neder specifically went also on the yavam, we go to Amid Beis, Kufyud Beis Amid Beis. We should say that we should ask him nicely, do you want to give a chalitza now? We can't force him, because basically she made a neder to uproot the whole mitzvah of Yibam. So it must be that our Mishnah holds that when a woman makes a neder, she doesn't think of the yavam. And therefore, when push came to shove and she fell to Yibam, so she never had in mind the Yavam, so we asked the Yavam to do chalitza for her. So that's what the Mishnah says. So it seems that like Rav answers the Gemara, our Mishnah is talking about is a woman who had children. So how did she fall to Yibam? Her children had to die, and then her husband had to die. That far she would never have thought about that kind of a remote scenario. But if she had no children, so then if she had no children, my mivakshin, then we wouldn't force him. We'd ask if he wants to give chalitza or not, but we wouldn't force him. So then the Mishnah could make a new differentiation. That she intentionally included the yavam into the neder, that then we ask him to give chalitza, let's make a differentiation by her herself. But when did we say that we force him to give the yibam because it's not really, she didn't really mean this, but she has labanim. If she has no children and therefore she's thinking of the yabam mevakshin, we would say we ask him. We force him like Rav. So our Mishnah seems to agree like Rav. So to back up what we're trying to say over here, the question was, our Mishnah, a woman says, makes a neder, she's not having any relations with any Jews. So now she asks herself on the entire world because she hates intercourse. Therefore, what did she mean to include the yavam in this neder? What the Gemara is concluding is that yes, she meant to include the yavam. She did not mean to include the yavam into the neder. Like Rav says, yavam is not included like the Baal. She meant to include the husband, but she never even thought that she would ever fall to yavam. And this was proven from our Mishnah. Hadron Allah Beis Shammai. Okay, the last 2-3 minutes, I'm just going to walk you through the Mishnah, and then we'll say it very fast. That's why I sent you out the PDF over here, and you can go through the Mishnah yourself. But basically, there are just 7 cases in the Mishnah. And I'll just walk you through the cases, and then we'll end, because this is what the Mishnah is saying. You have just the point. There's 3 steps. There's 3 steps you have to know. A normal person with a normal girl makes a normal marriage. What happens if you have a cherish? A cherish is someone with a low intelligence, okay, low functioning person. So when any of them are low functioning, he's a cherish or she's a chereshes, the kedushin works midrabanan. Okay, that's important. It works midrabanan. But if she becomes crazy, right, or if he becomes crazy, then there's no kedushin there at all. Okay, so that's what the Mishnah. So let's do the Mishnah. Cheresh shenosha pikachas. Let's just start the Mishnah and then we'll leave. Cheresh shenosha pikachas. A Mishnah says that a low-functioning man that marries a high-functioning woman, upikeach, or a high-functioning man, shenosha chereshes, married a low-functioning woman. So therefore, the kedushin is the rabbanan. So what about get? Can you give a divorce in this case? If you want to divorce her, you could divorce her. If you want to keep her, certainly you could keep her. Just like you married her and she didn't fully get what she was doing, but you were able to motion to her and say we're getting married. So you can get rid of her and divorce her with remiza, with motions, even though she can't hear you. Obviously, that's why she's low functioning, because she can't hear or he can't hear. Says the Mishnah, a high-functioning man that married a normal woman, and then she became low-functioning, so they really had a marriage daraisa. Now she's low-functioning. The Mishnah says, if you want, you could give her a get, because you don't need so much of her intelligence for him to give a get. If you want, you can keep her. But nishtates, this is very important, if she became crazy, then lo yotzi, you can't give her a get, because she's crazy, she's non-functioning at all. Then you can't give her a get. Now, happens the opposite case? Nischarishu or nishtata, if he became low functioning or he became crazy, so then he married her as a daraisa when he was normal. Then he became low functioning because he became deaf or crazy. Then eini mertzia ilamas, he can never give her a divorce. Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. Why, if a woman becomes deaf, you can get rid of her, and if a man that becomes deaf, he cannot give a get? What's the difference to a woman becoming low functioning, and she could get a divorce? If the man becomes nischaresh, deaf, he can't write a get. So they explained to Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri, the woman function in a divorce case is very different than a man. The man is the one in control. And if he's the one in control, we demand that he be high functioning. But a woman gets a get, can receive a get, even whether she wants it or not. All you have to do is give the get into her palm, and that's it. She goes out whether she likes it or not. He can't divorce her only if he wants to. Therefore, you need him to be more high functioning. Hayed Rabbi Yochanan ben Gudadia al chereshes isi avia sheyotzes beget, that on a chereshes that's married, her father married her. So now you have a chereshes. She's a low functioning girl, but she's a katana, right? She's, let's say, 10 years old. But her father married her off. It's a daraisa. She yotzes beget. She goes out with a get, because again, we don't need the girl to be high functioning to receive a get. So they explained to Rabbi Yochanan if a woman was normal and then she became low functioning, just like it works in the case where her father married her off, that the chereshes could receive a get. If she was married her off normal and she became a chereshes, she could receive a get. Now the rest of the Mishnah, we're just going to go quickly through it. Just to tell you, you have the rest of the Mishnah is talking about, let's say, I'm going to do 1 or 2 cases and you can follow it into what I sent you, and that's the whole Mishnah. Just basically, Mishnah discusses you have 2 sisters, and a cherish and a cherish, 2 brothers, a cherish and a cherish, and the 2 sisters are chereshes and a chereshes. So the Mishnah says, let's say one cherish died. So both of them are drabanan type of marriages, right? As you can see in the picture. If the cherish died, now a chereshes falls to her sister for yibam, right? So then she's pata from chalitza and yibam. That's simple. Pata from chalitza and yibam. Right, but if If she's a stranger, let's say they're not sisters, then he could be miyabim. He could do the yibam. The fact is, the reason why he doesn't do yibam over here because they're sisters. But let's say this is the permutations of the Mishnah. If you have two brothers, one's a cherish, one's a pikeach, one's normal and one's a cherish, and the cherish over here died without children. So then the normal one is not falling to yibam. The answer is, but her brother, the pikeach, was married to pikachas, her sister, the normal one. So therefore, she goes out. She doesn't have no yibam over here because she's a chois isha, the sisters. She's a sister to the wife of the yabam. Now, let's say the other case, if the pikeach died, and this is we're going to stop here. If the pikeach dies, right? So let's say he died over here. So then this is interesting. So now you have a normal yibam falling midairaisa to him, and he was married. This cheresh was married only durabanan to the pikachas. So what we do is he has to get rid of his wife, give a get. You see, in scenarios like this, he gives a get to his wife, and this pikachas is also forever. And this is where we'll end. Why is the pikachas also forever? Because he can't do yibam because he was married to her sister, and he can't do chalitza because a cherish is unique. They could do marriage, but they can't do chalitza. So there you have a situation where he'll get rid of his wife, and the yavama he can never marry. So this is a messed up case where everybody loses. This is the Mishnah. If you go through the PDF that I sent out, you'll be able to easily run through the Mishnah. Okay. Okay, guten Nacht, everybody.
Guten Nacht, Baruch.
Okay, thank you very much. Be'ez Hashem, we will meet up again when I get back Wednesday.
Amen.
Okay, keep up. Thank you. Take care. All the best, everybody.
Bon voyage.